Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman formed one of the most dominant trios in NBA history, but their success was never built on friendship. During their playing days with the Chicago Bulls, the three rarely bonded on a personal level. Their relationship was strictly professional.
I don't have to have a job to speak to people. My job is to correlate and understand how people work and do one thing and make people believe to the fact that you belong there. Me and Scottie and Michael never had a conversation in 3 years in Chicago. Well, I didn't think it was important. I thought it was important for me to go there and win.
Driven by winning rather than emotional connection, practices were intense and often silent, with little casual conversation. Each player understood his role, and that understanding mattered more than chemistry. The locker room functioned like a workplace, not a family. Championships were the only common goal that held them together. Michael Jordan led the team through fear, pressure, and relentless standards. He demanded perfection and wasn't afraid to criticize or confront teammates publicly. Scottie Pippen respected Jordan's greatness, but often felt overshadowed and undervalued, especially due to contract issues and lack of recognition. Dennis Rodman, meanwhile, operated on a completely different wavelength, unpredictable and rebellious. Jordan didn't trust Rodman personally, and Pippen didn't connect with him emotionally. Yet all three tolerated each other because their skills were irreplaceable. Communication between them existed mainly on the court. Defensive switches, rotations, and play calls were constant, but emotional conversations were rare. Off the court, they lived separate lives and avoided unnecessary interaction. Rodman was given freedom to disappear, skip practices, and break rules because he delivered elite defense and rebounding. Jordan accepted this imbalance because results mattered more than discipline. Pippen stayed quiet, internalizing frustration, while continuing to perform at an elite level. Phil Jackson was the key figure who kept the trio from imploding. He understood that forcing friendship would backfire. Instead, he allowed distance and managed egos through structure and trust. Jackson let Rodman be Rodman, challenged Jordan to lead without complete control, and reassured Pippen of his importance. This balance prevented tension from becoming open conflict. The team thrived not because they were close, but because they were controlled. In the end, the Bulls dynasty proved that unity doesn't always mean closeness. Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman didn't need personal bonds to dominate the league. They respected roles, accepted tension, and sacrificed comfort for success. The silence between them wasn't dysfunction, it was discipline. Their story shows that greatness can be built on pressure, not peace. And that's what made their dynasty both legendary and complicated. The tension between the trio was most visible during practices. Jordan treated practice like a battlefield, pushing teammates to their limits. Pippen followed quietly, often absorbing criticism without public response. Rodman approached practice with indifference, conserving energy for games. This contrast frustrated Jordan, but also intrigued him. The lack of harmony created constant pressure. That pressure sharpened the team. Game nights revealed how different personalities could still align. Jordan dominated scoring, demanding attention. From defenses, Pippen operated as the glue, defending multiple positions and facilitating offense. Rodman attacked rebounds with unmatched ferocity. They rarely celebrated together. Instead, they returned to huddles with focus. Their connection was functional, not emotional. Rodman's lifestyle often created silent resentment. His disappearances and off-court antics were tolerated but never embraced. Jordan believed discipline was non-negotiable, yet exceptions were made for Rodman. Pippen noticed the double standard, but said little. This imbalance created unspoken tension. Winning masked the cracks. Media pressure amplified the internal distance. Jordan was the global face of the NBA, while Pippen felt like a secondary figure despite his importance. Rodman attracted headlines for controversy rather than performance. Interviews rarely included praise among the trio. Each spoke about the team, not each other. The silence became noticeable. Leadership roles were clearly divided. Jordan ruled through dominance and confrontation. Pippen led by example and intelligence. Rodman led through effort and chaos. None attempted to overlap roles. This separation prevented power struggles. Clarity replaced camaraderie. In close playoff games, the tension intensified but never fractured. Missed assignments led to glares, not arguments. Mistakes were remembered, not forgiven. The stakes were too high for emotion. Each player internalized pressure differently, yet all responded with performance. Phil Jackson's philosophy allowed controlled individuality. He encouraged mindfulness and trust rather than forced unity. Team meetings focus on purpose, not feelings. This approach kept egos from colliding. Distance was treated as balance, not weakness. The system held. After championships, celebration was brief. There were no long embraces or shared joy. Jordan left quickly, Pippen remained reserved, and Rodman drifted away. The moment passed without bonding. Winning was expected, not cherished. That mindset defined them. Years later, reflections revealed lingering wounds. Pippen expressed bitterness. Over respect and recognition, Rodman admitted he never felt truly accepted. Jordan acknowledged the tension, but defended his methods. The truth became clearer with time. Success had a cost. Ultimately, the Bulls dynasty was built on controlled conflict. Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman proved that harmony isn't required for greatness. Respect, role acceptance, and pressure were enough. Their silence spoke louder than friendship, and that silence delivered history as the Bulls dynasty evolved. The controlled conflict between Jordan and Pippen became familiar, but Dennis Rodman remained the unpredictable variable. His presence intensified the existing tension rather than easing it. While Jordan enforced standards and Pippen absorbed pressure, Rodman operated outside emotional boundaries. This contrast didn't fracture the team, but it reshaped it. The dynasty adjusted around Rodman instead of forcing him to adapt. That adjustment changed everything. Rodman's story fit perfectly into the Bulls' environment of silence and discipline. Even though he seemed to reject both, he didn't engage in locker room politics or power struggles. Instead, he disappeared into his role. Rebounding wasn't just effort for him, it was identity. In a team built on control, Rodman brought chaos that opponents couldn't predict or prepare for. The distance between Rodman and his teammates wasn't hostility, it was mutual survival. Jordan knew pushing Rodman emotionally could destroy the balance. Pippen understood that Rodman's value came from freedom, not structure, so they kept their distance. That space allowed Rodman to function without pressure to conform. Silence became protection. Rodman's off-court behavior tested the Bulls' patience, but it also exposed the limits of traditional leadership. Phil Jackson recognized that Rodman couldn't be managed like anyone else. He allowed Rodman to vanish, express himself, and return on his own terms. That trust was rare. It kept the team intact when it should have fractured. On the court, Rodman communicated through relentless energy. Every rebound was a statement. Every defensive stop was a response to doubt. Jordan and Pippen didn't need conversation to understand that. Rodman earned respect not through words, but through sacrifice. His effort closed the emotional distance when nothing else could dot as championships piled up. Rodman remained emotionally detached from the celebration. Winning didn't anchor him, it freed him temporarily. The silence after victories mirrored the silence during the season. There were no embraces, no speeches, just acknowledgement. That was enough. In the end, Rodman's story completes the Bulls' dynasty narrative. Jordan was the will, Pippen was the balance, and Rodman was the disruption that opponents couldn't solve. Their lack of closeness wasn't weakness, it was design. The dynasty didn't succeed despite Rodman's chaos. It succeeded because it learned how to live with this story of Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman proves that greatness doesn't always come from harmony. Their dynasty was built on tension, discipline, and unspoken understanding rather than friendship. Each man carried his own struggles, his own ego, and his own purpose. Yet when the lights came on, those differences disappeared into performance. The silence between them became strength. What looked broken from the outside was perfectly balanced on the inside. In the end, the Bulls' legacy isn't just about 6 championships, it's about controlled chaos, Jordan's relentless drive, Pippen's quiet sacrifice, and Rodman's wild unpredictability created something history couldn't ignore. They never needed to like each other to change the game. They only needed to trust the roles they played. And that truth remains one of the most powerful lessons the NBA has ever taught.